The Chicago Cubs go back to their losing ways while the White Sox lose in heartbreaking fashion. Shocking. We'll discuss tonight the rest of the night in Major League Baseball as the clock turns on the Chicago Bulls. Where will DeMar DeRozan land? And Jason Tatum got paid. And well, we're back diving into the NFL. Yay! We have a special topic for you guys. We hope you like it. And we'll preview the NASCAR races that will be running through downtown Chicago this upcoming 4th of July weekend. This and a whole lot more as a holiday special on Second City Sports here on Sports Zone Chicago starts right now. Welcome to another fun-filled special edition of Second City Sports. We're live in the living color right here on Sports So Chicago, along with Mr. Kim McGee, which is she. I am Sidney Brown. Hey, that's me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow my Kim McGee on the Twitter, X, and again the IG.
Be sure to download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Please follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Please subscribe to our podcast. We are located at War Media Podcast. That's WARR Media, PODCASTS. We are on all podcast platforms, including that iHeartRadio app. And while you're ready, please give War Media a follow at WARR Media on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
I'm yours. So first, like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We are unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. If you have any definite opinion during our 2-hour extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show, you can always hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you. But if you decide to troll and/or do something silly, dumb, or stupid, I've given Lakeena full powers to give you fools to be a boot.
Toodles.
But before we begin, we must remind you can get Sports Zone Chicago live in living color on Roku TV. That's right. So celebrate with the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV. If you already have Roku television, tap on the sports folder and download that Sports Zone Chicago app. If you don't have a Roku television, but you have some handheld devices laying around, iPhone, iPad, iTouch, your Chromebook, or your PC, or your Android, you can just hit up the Google Play Store, download that Roku TV app, and access Sports Zone Chicago through that avenue. So no more excuses. Celebrate the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Live and on demand.
Anytime, anywhere.
And you know we will provide.
And don't adjust your sets, folks. I mean, yes, we are here on a Wednesday for the special edition of Second City Sports. Of course, we'll talk MLB. LeBron opts out, but then gets paid, as says in the teaser. Jason Tatum also got fresh paper. We talked some NFL, finally. WNBA All-Star, and a whole lot more. But first, Sid, as we do here, the Cubs and the Phillies, unfortunately, just no urgency. There was just nothing, and this is despite the Phillies not having Harper, Schwarber, the heart of that their Phillies order. And the guy, getting his first ever starts, no problem. But just another day at the office for the Phillies. The Cubs. They lose to the Phillies in the first game of their 3-gamer. And Sid, I mean, I watched a little bit of this yesterday, and it was boring, and I'll take a cue from what our buddy Josh Fryer. We got to get him back on the show from McGee Sports with him or other buddy Jared Payton. They did on their show last night that and he's right. There is no urgency with this Cubs squad. I mean, they had 1, 2, 3 innings. For I think like the last 3 innings, they went 1, 2, 3. 6-4. I mean, they did put a little bit of a fight for a little bit, but then the later part of that maybe they had a shot to perhaps maybe win this game, perhaps maybe steal one. No, not so fast. Like I said, they go 1, 2, 3 in both the eighth and the ninth, and it was just like, good lord, like where's the fights? Like where's the urgency? So Sid, I'll let you have the floor, but because I'm getting a little antsy now. The Cubs are 8 games under. They're still in last place. The division's over with. They're 12 back. And now the wild card, whatever little chance they had the wild card, now that's probably done with for right now. And it's just the wheels are falling off, and it's not good.
Congrats to Phillies rookie pitcher Michael Mercado. He pitched well last night. 5 innings, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks. He gave up just 2 hits and 1 earned run. Trey Turner was the man for the Phillies last night. We talked about him the last couple weeks on the show. He was injured for the most of the early part of the year. He's starting to heat up now. Like we said in our last show, other guys in the Phillies lineup will have to settle up. As you mentioned, Bryce Harper is out of the lineup. Cal Schwarber, who was there last night, but he's not playing. He's on the IL. And don't forget about their star catcher, JT Realmuto. He's also out of the lineup as well. So it's up to other guys in that Phillies line to step up. Trey Turner did last night. 2 home runs, 4 RBI. I think Hayden Wesneski, who was the starter for the Cubs last night, after the first couple of innings, I thought he settled in nicely. His stat line goes like this: 5 innings pitched, 7 strikeouts, 3 walks. He gave up 5 hits and 5 earned runs, but I thought he kind of settled in after the first 3 innings last night. So you cannot really blame him on why the Cubs lost last night. The Cubs just, as I said before, and I'll say it again, they can get them on, they just can't get them over. And number 2, is either the bad base running or just being impatient at the plate. And outside of Seiya Suzuki's 3-run shot in the 9th inning to cut that lead to 6-4, there's no patience with this Cubs lineup. There's no urgency, as you mentioned, and there needs to be a jolt from somewhere. I don't know where it's going to come from an office. Like I said before in our show a couple of days ago, I don't expect Craig Counsell to turn into Mike Dick and start yelling and screaming and cussing everybody out. Maybe he's doing that behind the scenes. I don't know. I doubt it, but Joe is going to have to come from somewhere and pretty quickly. You still have 2 games remaining with the Phillies tonight and tomorrow before the LA Angels come into town over the weekend. You still have winnable games on the schedule from here to the All-Star break, and you may say some individuals are trying to play like their what's are on fire, but not the whole team.
This is Second City Sports on Chicago. Lakeena, McGee, Sidney Brown with you. You look at the lineup, and like you said, besides that, say a 3-run home run. I mean, Morel has been hitting very well. Happy, you thought that maybe he can get it going. He hasn't. I mean, Bellinger did get a couple of RBIs, but it just wasn't enough. And the consistency of the Cubs lineup is just not. It's just very listless. And that 8th inning, they had a shot to perhaps maybe make it interesting. It was too little too late by the time Seiya hit that home run. So yeah, I don't know what someone's. I don't know. There has to be some type of energy booster here. I mean, this isn't the Phillies. This is a Phillies team that's not 100% yet. They were able to kind of dominate from start to finish. I mean, Mercado, of course, got his first win. I think he had like a 6 or 7 ERA before he got called up, and now the Cubs again were able to take advantage of it. So I think for me, I just don't know what this Cubs team can do at this point. And you don't want to, you got 2 weeks before the All-Star break. You got about 3.5 weeks before the trade deadline. You're not going to be able to, are you going to trade Bellinger? You're not going to get a lot for Bellinger. And, so it's just one of those things where you just don't know what can you do. I know everyone thinks they have the answers, but does Jed Hoyer or Carter Hawkins? I mean, do they have the answers? I mean, because I feel like there needs to be some type of a jolt. I don't know what. I know that Justin Steele, we know he kind of had tried to fire up the team on Saturday, and that that Brewers game, that they won that game, but they kind of just went back to the usual stuff, leaving guys on base and swinging and missing. It's just like one of those days where something's got to give.
Yeah, check out these numbers from last night. This is your lineup for your Chicago Cubs. Leadoff hitter Nico Horner, 0 for 4. Rookie first baseman Michael Bush, 1 for 3. Cody Bellinger, as you mentioned his name a moment ago, 2 for 4 with an RBI. And Seiya Suzuki, 2 for 4, as I mentioned, including a 3-run shot in the ninth inning. Ian Happ, who was hot for the last couple of weeks, he's been going back in the tank, 0 for 4. Christopher Morel, 0 for 4. Dansby Swanson, 0 for 4. P. Crow Armstrong, who I've been claiming to get to be the leadoff guy, 0 for 3. What does that
Yeah,
tell you?
yeah, that's not good. That's not You're not going to be able to win and go to a sustainable 10, 10, 12 wins in a row run if those guys are not consistent. That's the heart of your order right there. So you got to, someone's gonna have to, somebody's gonna have to, have to give here. And like you said, so they got some winnable. Look, they got winnable games between now and the All Star break, but there has to be a little bit of a sense of urgency here. And it's sorry, DSB Swanson, you can't say it's July, it's June anymore, it's July now, so you have to kind of try to see if you can get it going here. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, they do have they finish up their series against the Phillies today, and it'll be interesting to see if they can, try to get something going here.
Yeah, and also you cannot feel sorry for yourselves either. So, like you say, it's not early anymore. You gotta get your head out of your, what's it, and get going. I want to ask you about the Cubs bullpen. At least as of last night, it was okay. Colton Brewer, I thought, I'm not gonna say you have something in him, but he came. He was the first pitcher to come in after Hayden Wisniewski last night. He gave up 3 hits, 1 earned run, but he struck out 3. And also he had Roberts, who came in as well. He did the job. He had 1 strikeout in his only inning pitch. He gave up just 1 hit. I'm not going to say the Cubs bullpen issues are solved, but as we talked about the last few weeks on the show, you have injuries to your starting rotation into the bullpen right now. So as we say, you got to have to find guys to do the job. At least with Roberts and Brewer, they did the job out of the pen last night.
Also, Jorge Lopez too, with his
Mm-hmm.
best outings thus far, didn't give up any hits. Struck out the side, so that helps a little bit. And yeah, I mean, look, I think that's some solace here. But like we've been saying, when the hitting is good, the pitching's been terrible. Now the pitching's been okay for the most part, but the hitting is now awful. So the hitting is not existent. So it's unfortunate that not say that the both issues are solved, but yeah, I mean, there's a little bit consistency. I think that's going to be the key. And this is the 8th straight series opener that they lost. The Cubs have. So yeah, that has to change. That has to change quickly.
Yeah, your pitching matchup for tonight: Zach Wheeler goes for the Philadelphia Phillies. Shota Imanaga will go for the Cubs. And for the series finale tomorrow, 4th of July day, that's Thursday's game is afternoon game. Christopher Sanchez will take the bump for Philadelphia, while James Italian will take the hill for the Cubs. So there's your series pitching matchups for tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah, Sanchez, like you said, the last couple of starts been tearing it up. So we'll see if the Cubs can kind of break through that a little bit. So we're gonna take a really quick break. Of course, the Sox lose another heartbreaker to the Guardians, and the rest of MLB as Aaron Judge continues to break records and the All Star ballots. The first crop of All Star ballot results have been released, and we'll talk about that and a whole lot more. Do any of the Cubs or White Sox start to be on the All Star game? We'll talk about that coming up next. Excuse me. McGee, Sidney, about Second City Sports on Sports of Chicago. More Diamond Talk coming up right after this.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too.
These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov, a public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to this special 4th of July holiday edition of Second City Sports. We're live in the living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid, that's Lakeena. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80, that's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow my Keena McGee on the Twitter, X, and he's going to get the IG.
We have less than 85 minutes left for this extravaganza we call a sports talk radio show as we continue to talk MLB and White Sox. If so, you have any questions or comments for us, you can hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you.
I'm back at full screen again. Yay. Let's go to Cleveland and Target. No, to Cleveland, I should say. Talk a little bit of White Sox. White Sox lose a tough one to the Guardians, 7-6. This after a solid showing by their hitters. Andrew Vaughn led it off with a home run right there at the top. But,
finally.
Yeah, right. Unfortunately, Cleveland, scored a couple to get the early lead, but then Robert Jr. came on, get a 3-run home run to tie that game. Then there were a couple other scores by the Guardians. Sosa and Robert Jr. Helped tie it up in the seventh inning respectively. But it was Mr. Naylor for the Guardians, a sac fly that scored Jimenez, and that was all she wrote there. So, Sid, I mean, it was actually quite entertaining over there in Cleveland, but just again, a tough one for the Sox to swallow. Michael Kopech, not his best start this last few innings.
No, it hasn't. Like you said, the offense showed up last night for the Sox, in particular, La Pantera and Andrew Vaughn with the sticks, but another episode of Comedy Errors came back to haunt this team last night. Paul DeYoung in the 6th inning hit the back of the head of Bo Naylor of the Guardians, yes, which blew that game open for Cleveland there. Chris Flexen was not impressive last night. 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts. Not impressive at all last night. Thank goodness for the offense, or else that game would have looked worse for Chicago. But as we continue to talk about the Guardians, Lakeena, Carlos Carrasco, we don't talk about their pitching. We talk about Shane Bieber being out for the year. But Carlos Carrasco, who's been there for a while, he had 6 innings pitched last night. He only gave up 4 hits while striking out 7, walking 1, and giving up just 3 earned runs. That was very impressive last night. But also, too, Tyler Freeman was the man for Cleveland. He had 2 RBI along with Sheeman as well. He had 2 RBI. So Cleveland's offense, we talk about their offense. It was very good last night, and you saw they did enough just to get the win over the White Sox.
Yeah, I think that's what you want. If you're the Guardians, just try to even if you gotta pull teeth and kind of soldier on and dig yourself. They were able to kind of do that. So to their credit, but yeah, I mean the Sox. I mean, like I said, they didn't up until that last part of the 9th inning. Unfortunately, it was just kind of back to where the Sox have always been. That's why they're one of the worst teams in the league, folks. So unfortunately, that was that kind of ended up being the kicker there for the Sox. Of course, the Sox continue their series against the Guardians at 5:40. It'll be Eric Fetty and Gavin Williams. That'll be your matchup tonight, and it'll be interesting to see if maybe the Sox can kind of steal one of these next couple of games in Cleveland to perhaps maybe get a little bit of confidence going. But again, I digress. Again, I'm trying, but
Well,
Go ahead.
Here's the thing. Eric Fetty will probably be one of those young fans. It will probably be traded by the July 31st trade deadline. I think this start is important for him. If Chris Guest is looking forward to moving Eric Fetty, and he's been one of the surprises on the team this year. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow's game a little bit too. Rookie pitcher Drew Thorpe, who's 2-1 on the year. He was acquired in that trade with San Diego back on March 13th in exchange for Dylan Cease. He's kind of been up and down, but he looks like he may be one of those future starters for the White Sox. He goes tomorrow. So I think the Sox can still win in these next 2 games. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but they do have a chance.
They have a shot. I think I'd probably give a shot at one of those 2. They'll probably win one of them, I think. We'll see what happens. That start will be at 12:40 on tomorrow. That Thorpe versus Lively matchup. Going to the rest of the MLB. The Yankees. They did win that rubber match against the Blue Jays, helping with their confidence there. But however, they did lose a tough one to the Reds in the opener of that series at Yankee Stadium, 5-4. Of course, Mr. Eli De La Cruz homered and tripled. That helped propel the Reds there, stealing that win. But Aaron Judge, and I think this is still I think he's definitely making a case for another MVP honors because I think it's been sort of one of those things where he had a really great last few games. That game-winning RBI on Sunday to help propel them for that win against the Blue Jays to kind of help with that. In 50 years, only 3 players have made 12. That's his 15th game-winning RBI in his career. Prior to the All-Star break, joining Manny Ramirez, who did in '99, Eddie Murray, who did in '84. And George Foster, that's a name. All the way back in 1979, they did at 16. So we'll see if Mr. Judge can reach that number. But even still, I know some Yankees fans are still a little bit, antsy at the moment because of the injuries and such. Yankees haven't been playing very well, but I think the key is just to keep everything afloat to get a lot of those guys back.
Yeah, you mentioned with the injuries with the Bronx Bombers, they are 5 and 12 in their last 17 games, including last night's loss to Cincinnati. Luis Gil, we talked about Lakeena being a surprise starter, a rookie starting pitcher in MLB this year. He suffered his second consecutive loss last night as the Reds get it done. You mentioned Ellie De La Cruz in his first career game at Yankee Stadium, had a home run. He also had another RBI in there as well. Cincinnati, we talked about them. They're just trying to get it together. But for the Yankees, they're just going through a tough stretch right now. Hopefully, like you said, they can put it together. Like I said before, and I'll say it again, it's Aaron Judge first, Juan Soto second, Jose Ramirez of Cleveland third. Now, those are my top 3 candidates for AL MVP. Now, if Judge can stay healthy, the Yankees have a shot of getting into the playoffs. But you saw what happened last year. Judge missed the bulk of the season. That's what really cost the Yankees a trip to the playoffs.
Definitely does. And if they lose him, I mean, I think they can keep things afloat a little bit. They are 5 and 12, but hopefully that doesn't happen, and we'll see what happens there. Staying in the AL East, Grayson Rodriguez was just dominant. He had 8 strikeouts as the Orioles shut out my Mariners 2-0. I watched a little bit of that game last night. He was dealing yesterday, and of course the Rangers were able to avoid the 4-game sweep. They're 1-1 this week. We're talking about the Orioles, but even still, I mean, if you're the Orioles, I think you gotta be feeling pretty good because you got the Yankees are kind of falling off a little bit with injuries. So the key here for the Orioles is just kind of keep doing what you're doing and don't worry about what they're doing, and you can kind of get it going.
We mentioned about Grayson Rodriguez. He's now 10-3 on the year with a 3.45 ERA. George Kirby, your guy, Lakeena, Scott Service, the manager of the Mariners, left him in there in that 7th inning last night. He came back to buy him in the what as the Orioles scored their second and last run of that ball game last night. I don't know if you caught this, Lakeena. I doubt it, but yours surely was up just a little bit early this morning. I got a chance to catch MLB Central, the daily morning show over there at MLB Network. Lauren Shahadi, Robert Flores, and Mark DeRosa, they do a great job. But DeRosa, in his demo breakdown, he talked about Julio Rodriguez, who we talked about on this show before. He has 0 RBI in his last 4 games. The Mariners are 4-8 now, make it 4-9. As of last night. But Mark DeRosa, I'm just paraphrasing here a little bit. Mark DeRosa talked about how Rodriguez is in a slump. He talked about how his batting stance has changed and he's trying to chase pitches and basically trying to force the issue. When you're in a slump, you can't do that. You just got to get back to the bases, and that's not what's happening with Julio Rodriguez right now. And basically what Mark DeRosa kept saying, you got to take a couple of steps back to take a step forward. And hopefully he can turn it around. I'm talking about Rodriguez can turn it around here quickly. Yes, the Mariners front office must get a big bat in there because they're still looking good on top of the AL West right now. But if the Rangers, and we'll talk about the Astros in just a moment, if and when those teams start making their next gear moves, that lead is going to shrink, and I don't think you're going to get it back if that happens if you're Seattle.
Yeah, they really got to get him going if they want to kind of maintain that lead over the Rangers and the Astros. Let's go to Central as the Twins have won a couple in a row. They finished up that series against the Mariners. They were off on Monday. Now they were able to get that opener against the Tigers. And Minnesota kind of quietly, thanks to Carlos Correa and Manny Margot. I mean, that's going to be interesting to see if they can they need to get a run going there if they want to try to keep pace with the Guardians.
Speaking of Carlos Correa, Lakeena, here's a stat that I saw this morning. In his last 23 games, 428 batting average, 6 home runs, 19 RBI. Very impressive. And Byron Buxton had another big home run last night as well. So we talked about the Twins pitching, winning that series over last weekend at Seattle. The offense has really carried the Twins so far this year, and they had another example against that mediocre Tigers pitching staff last night.
Taking care of business, that's the best way to do it if you're the Twins. Staying in the division, the Royals lose a tough one to the Rays 5-1, and I do wonder though if the Royals want to be taken seriously. They're still kind of within distance of the AL wild card. They need to kind of get it going. That was a tough loss last night.
Yeah, Brady Singer, who's been a kind of a surprise for the Kansas City Royals this year. He's now 4-5 on the year. He suffered a loss last night. But the Rays, they're coming in hot. Brandon Lowe added a home run last night for Tampa Bay. After Tampa Bay struggled to start the year, and then they're on 43-42 on the year, 20-17 away from the Trop. So Tampa Bay, do they have another run in them? I don't know, but the way that Kevin Cash has that team playing right now, I won't count them out just yet, but we still have a long way to go.
Going out west, we talked about the Mariners. Definitely need a big bat now. The Astros, they were hot, but they still have a little bit of a tough one yesterday. Splitting their early series with the Blue Jays, lose a tough one last night. George Springer hit a 3-run home run that kind of broke the game open.
Yeah, the Toronto Blue Jays, hopefully this is their time to make a move. Speaking of George Springer, he had a heck of a catch in right field last night as well. Like I said, Jose Barrios, he started to struggle there a little bit after the Blue Jays went up 7-1. The Astros, their comeback just falls just 1 run short for Toronto. we talked about the names they're being rumored to be shopped around. I don't know. Hear that interference there. Oh, there you go. But we talk about some of the guys that are allegedly to be moved. We mentioned George Springer, Vlad Guerrero Jr., who cut all his hair off, by the way. But maybe this is their time to make a move. Can they sustain this? We'll see. But they survived a scare last night as the Astros, as we talked about before, they're coming and they're coming in good. They are now 43 and 42 after the loss last night. But the Blue Jays got to get it going here. Their pitching and their offense just can't seem to get on the right page at the same time for whatever reason. Sorry, Lakeena's audio is muted for a second.
There we go. There we go.
Yeah,
Sorry
okay,
about
yeah.
that.
Yeah, finish your point.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's been the theme of the Blue Jays the last couple of years, unfortunately. So there might be a fire sale up north, so we'll see what happens there. As the second seed Sports on Chicago, Lakeena, McGee, Sidney Brown with you. Let's go to the National League. We talked about the Phillies. They've won. They're still going on. They're still soldiering on through despite their injuries. The Braves, not so much. Just when you thought that maybe they were starting to figure things out, they lose. They're what could have been a sweep against the Pirates, and then they lose the opener against the Giants, and it's I mean the inconsistency of this of all this is sort of one of those sort of things where that's really been the problem for the Braves, especially with all the injuries.
Yeah, Austin Riley hit a big home run last night, but Heliot Ramos for the Giants hit a solo shot in the ninth inning to give the Giants some breathing room to take the 5-3 victory last night. We talked about the Giants for the last week or so. Looking at they take 3 out of 4 from the Cubs, take 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers. But it was very impressive taking the first game in this series down there in Atlanta last night. I think the Braves are still okay, but they got to get the offense going in some consistency. They're being led by their starting pitcher right now, as we talked about the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, but they really need a bat if they want to kind of at least try to challenge the Phillies in the East, the NL East. So we'll see what happens there. Now, staying in the NL East, the Mets, they won their first 2 games, of course, granted against the Lily Nationals. But again, it's hard for they're game over 500 to consider where they were now. I don't think they're going to be able to catch up in that division because I think they dug themselves too big of a hole. But they can get into within the wild card chase, and they are right there. So Pete Alonso crushed a 2-run home run and extra innings to kind of propel the Mets in that because they needed the gold extras against the Nationals. So. Now we'll see if his name's been thrown around, perhaps as maybe a trade trade piece for somebody. So we'll see, but I can't see the Mets doing that, especially if they're right there in the thick of it in the wild card at least.
Well, assuming that the Mets are in this wild card chase between now and July 31st, they need bullpen help. I know that their closer Edwin Rodriguez, his suspension should be ending soon in the next few days, but the Mets bullpen has been struggling. You saw it. Not last night, but you saw it on Monday, where they almost gave up the first game of that series to Washington. So the Mets, if they say in this thing, they can use some bullpen help. I'm not going to say they can't use another bat, but it's all about the bullpen for the New York Mets. It's been a constant struggle for them all year long. So it was important for them to get that victory in extras last night.
Going to the Central, where the Brewers, it was back and forth, but they were able to. They split their first 2 games at Coors Field in Milwaukee. Before Milwaukee. So it'll be interesting to see if they can kind of get it going. I mean, to the Brewers' credit, they've been able to, at least so far, they've been able to kind of withhold like any other challenges they've had from not just teams in their own division, but the Rockies as well. I mean, they could have easily lost that game last night and be down 0-2 in that series. But to their credit, I mean, look, Rhys Hoskins has been very solid for the Brewers so far, and the fact that they've been able to do is a mostly no-name guys. You gotta, I'll be nice and not be petty. I'll give them credit. Jake Cave, had an RBI single that helped propel them in that first win, but for the Rockies, the Brewers to kind of pull off in that game. But I mean, but I don't know if they can sustain it. Talking about the Brewers, but we'll see.
Well, a couple examples. If you have a good team, you come back after a bad loss like they did on Monday and bounce back with a big victory like Milwaukee did last night. But also, too, when you're not playing your best and you also find ways to win, that's another good sign that you have a good team, and that's what Milwaukee is experiencing right now. Like you said, they don't have a great team full of big name stars, but they have a bunch of guys that just get the job done. And that's what those folks in Wisconsin are experiencing right now. So it's not a mistake that they're leading the NL Central. They're a better home team. They are away, even though they're 2 games above 500 away from that stadium I'll call Miller Park. But Milwaukee's just finding ways to get the job done and to win ball games, and that's what you're experiencing right now if you're a Brewers fan.
Going to St. Louis. St. Louis, take the opener of their series against the Pirates, 7-6. Nolan Gorman hit the grand slam to help in that cause to break that. So they took the lead and they weren't able to. They didn't relinquish it. So we just see if the Cardinals. So some people say the Cardinals could they perhaps maybe give the Brewers a run.
Yeah, we talked about the Cardinals starting pitching Lance Lynn. We talked about in our last episode on Monday. Had his 1,000th career strikeout. Cal Gibson, he's 6-3 with a 3.88 ERA. He picked up the win last night for St. Louis. Like you said, Lakeena, St. Louis just finds a way to win ball games, and they're on a good hot streak right now. And don't forget about Mason Wynn, your leading candidate for NL Rookie of the Year, their leadoff hitter. He's been having a good year. So as I talked about on the other side with Pittsburgh, they seem they just cannot get over the hump of getting to 500, and you wonder if they'll ever reach that mark. I'm not sure. St. Louis, can they stay in the wild card race? Sure, but I think they're too far. Because they're too far behind in the division to catch Milwaukee.
Yeah, they're kind of like in the same. They're kind of in the same boat as the Cubs are. So we'll see what happens with them going out west. The Dodgers, after a rough weekend in the Bay Area, they come home, get a little bit of home cooking, and they needed a Teoscar Hernandez single to help them win that game, that opener of that game against the Diamondbacks over at Dodger Stadium. So at least for right now, Dodgers fans can calm down. But Shohei Ohtani said he won't participate in the All-Star game. Of course, he still has. Remember, he still is not 100%. So the fact that he's still having all these numbers, it still isn't 100%. After that Tommy John surgery, of course, he can still hit. He's not able to pitch. So just to see but still, I mean, he still has numbers at the wazoo. Perhaps definitely one of the favorites for NL Rookie of the Year, and I mean NL MVP, I should say. So it'll be interesting to see if he can kind of keep it going here. But yeah, the Dodgers. Look, I mean, the best they can do for the Dodgers is just take it one game at a time, not look too far ahead, and don't look ahead at the teams in front behind you.
Did you check out that home run that Ohtani hit last night? It was amazing, almost going out of Dodgers Stadium. But for the Arizona Diamondbacks on the flip side, Christian Walker is continuing to swing a hot stick for Arizona. He had a 2-run shot last night, but now I can see one of the reasons why Arizona is not at 500. And they own the Dodgers, not just from last year's playoffs, but they played the Dodgers well, especially in Dodger Stadium. But these are the kind of games that you cannot give away if you're trying to climb back to 500. And this is a team that represented the National League in the World Series last year. And last night, the Diamondbacks should have won this game, but the Dodgers, as veteran teams do, they find the ways to win ball games when you're not playing well. The Dodgers bullpen is going through a bit of a tough stretch right now, but they survived it last night thanks to Teoscar Hernandez walk-off hit in the 9th inning.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see if they can kind of keep it going there. And look, they don't have to be, you don't need style points as long as you get the win. That's all you can, all you can ask for if you're a Dodgers fan. Now, the Padres, speaking of teams that don't know what to do with themselves, I mean, they lose, a shout out to the Rangers, the opener of that series, 7-0. And look, we talked about the Padres offense. We've seen what they can do, but unfortunately, isn't consistent. They're to me, they're just like a slightly better version of the Cubs.
Yeah, the Padres have to have a mini hot streak there. This is their first back-to-back losing back-to-back games in the last couple of weeks. Dylan Cease, the former White Sox pitcher, did not look good last night. He's now 7-7 with a 4.24 ERA on the year. Nathan Eovaldi had a bounce-back game last night. He's now 5-3 on the year with a 3.15 ERA. So, and Nathaniel Lowe, we talked about their Rangers lineup with Odrolas Garcia, Marcus Semien, and Jonah Helm. Nathaniel Lowe goes deep twice last night as the Rangers get it done by the score of 7-0. The Padres just only mustered 2 hits and committed an error last night.
All right, but before we get to the schedule, Sid, for the rest of this weekend going into the weekend, the All-Star balloting, of course, the second round of balloting opened up, and some of the leaders here, really no big surprise. Guys like Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Trey Turner. So not some of these names are not really a big surprise. I saw Vlad Guerrero Jr. is leading in first base for the American League. So do you see? Well, I guess the rule is that you have to have every team has to have at least one player represented in the All-Star game.
I hate their rule.
Yeah, which is silly, but that's a whole different conversation. So who do you see perhaps maybe getting those spots for the Cubs and the Sox?
Let's be honest here regarding with our Chicago teams. Does anybody deserve to start from the Cubs at the All-Star game? No. Anybody from the Sox? Hell no. Now, who's going to be the Cubs representative at the All-Star game next month? As of right now, he's starting tonight. That's Shota Imanaga, who's going to – I told you he's the Cubs MVP. He's going to start tonight. He should be the only one right now representing the Cubs at the All-Star game in Arlington, Texas next month. And, of course, Garrett Crochet, provided that he's going to be in the White Sox uniform before July 31st. He's the only one who's going to be representing the White Sox at the All-Star game next month. So those are your 2 All-Stars for Chicago. If anybody else can dispute me, I'll go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube and prove me wrong. But those are only 2 All-Stars I see from this great city.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you on that. Those are only 2 that are deserving of it because none of the other players mentioned. I think, yeah. I mean, Robert Jr. probably make a case, but again, he was out for like over a month, so you gotta think that's not gonna help him. And none of the Cubs hitters have been consistent, so yeah, I can definitely see the 2 reps for the Chicago teams being pitchers. So yeah, I can definitely see that.
Yep. Your schedule for tonight and for tomorrow. Okay, well the teams that the games that we mentioned last night, they'll play again tonight. Your MLB showcase game for those of you outside of Philadelphia and Chicago will be with the Phillies at the Chicago Cubs. That's on MLB Network tonight at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. For everybody else, the game will be blacked out here in Chicago and in Philadelphia. Yeah, I know. Your schedule for 4th of July tomorrow looks like this. The Mets and the Nationals will play each other in our nation's capital at 10 o'clock in the morning. That's not a typo, folks. That's a tradition there in our nation's capital. You can see that game on MLB Network. Of course, the White Sox and Guardians will wrap up this series. Cardinals, Pirates, Reds, Yankees, Red Sox, Marlins, Houston, and Toronto, Tigers, Twins, Phillies, Cubs. That game can be seen on MLB Network outside the Chicago, Philadelphia markets, San Diego and Texas, Angels and Oakland, Baltimore and Lakeena, Seattle Mariners, Giants and Braves, Brewers and Rockies, Tampa Bay and Kansas City, of course, in the Arizona Diamondbacks and the LA Dodgers. All those series will be wrapping up tomorrow for 4th of July. You can watch some of those games in your markets on MLB Network as they'll have all-day coverage of Major League Baseball.
Now going into the weekend, of course, we'll be on this weekend, folks. Just a reminder, starting Friday, you got the Angels and the Cubs. That should be a interesting series. You got the Mets and the Pirates, St. Louis and the Nationals. You got Boston the Yankees once again. Yay! The Sox go to South Beach to face the Marlins.
It was supposed to be the Tim Anderson revenge game, but now he's been cut.
He's been DFA'd, so yeah, darn it. Detroit and Cincinnati, they start their series. The first game of that series will be on Apple TV Plus. Just a special note there for those of you in Detroit and Cincy. San Fran against the Guardians. They start their series. And the second game of that Apple TV Plus regional coverage, if you will, it's 6:20. You got Philadelphia and Atlanta. That should be a fun one there as well.
Yeah, wrapping up the weekend series schedule looks like this. Tampa Bay at Texas, Houston at Minnesota, Kansas City at Colorado, Arizona at San Diego, Baltimore at Oakland, Toronto at Lakeena, Seattle Mariners, and the LA Dodgers will host the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, your Fox Saturday baseball game of the week looks like this. Most of the country will get to see Atlanta versus Philadelphia, while others, including Chicago, I believe, will get the Milwaukee LA Dodgers game. Coverage begins this Saturday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time on Fox. And your FS1 Saturday afternoon game will have the Yankees and the Yankees taking on the Red Sox from the Bronx and Yankee Stadium. Coverage on Saturday will begin at noon Central Standard Time on FS1.
And don't forget on Sunday, the Roku TV game. This will be at 3:10. There's a special note there, Arizona and San Diego. And, of course, the ESPN Sunday night game of the week will be the Red Sox and the Yankees. Yay.
And that's your schedule for the MLB for this upcoming weekend.
All right. Hour number 1, the books. Hour number 2, straight ahead is special edition of Second City Sports. Sports of Chicago. LeBron gets some fresh cash. Jason Tatum gets paid as well. NFL, we talk some NFL, folks. I can't wait for the start of training camp in a few weeks for the Bears especially. Sports media news and a whole lot more. Lakeena, McGee, Sidney Brown, Second City Sports on Sports of Chicago. More fun coming up right after this.
This year?
No, I don't know though. I'm scared. I mean,
Do you know that you're in my lane? No, not at all. Are you not paying attention? Are you texting? I was just checking in with my mom. I was telling her that I thought we'd be home by 6. It's okay. There's enough time. Just pay attention. I'm not even halfway through my text. There's no way. I'm not even going to look up. My babies are in the car. You have to pay attention. It's just supposed to be a quick text. I'm so sorry.
Hi, I'm Tom Brady, the director of DODEA. September is National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. The simple act of reaching out and caring for those in our communities is something we all can do. Just being there for someone you care about can be a tremendous first step in getting them access to confidential resources and support that they need. It only takes one person and one small act and 1 minute to make a difference. Let's make a difference.
Solve it!
Many will hear the calling. Few will earn the title. United States Marine. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Second City Sports, the special 4th of July edition. We're live in the living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Along with Miss Lakeena McGee, which is she. I am Sidney Brown. Hey, that's me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow Lakeena McGee on the Twitter, X, and Q's going in IG.
We have less than 55 minutes left of this extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show as we dive into some NBA free agency and perhaps some Chicago Bulls talk. You can go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions and comments in the up on the screen for you. And just a daily reminder, you can catch Sports Zone Chicago live in living color on Roku TV.
Going into the NBA, some not some surprising news came across the pike earlier this morning. After opting out of after of his current deal, of course, but we knew that was going to be the really big plan here. Of course, LeBron James, of course, re-signed with the Lakers, which I don't think anybody should be surprised by, and not just the fact that. Yeah, and not just the fact that, of course, his son's going to be there now playing for. We'll talk about his new contract in just a second, but he is going to talk about LeBron has a new multi-year deal worth over $100 million. And of course, not really a big surprise. I think a lot of people thought that he was going to go back to the Lakers, so I don't think anybody was really should be that surprised by it. But yeah, I'm just fascinated about there's some people that are.
Yeah, it's all the anger is coming from, well, LeBron James got what he wanted by drafting his son. If you're in the same position as a parent, we're not parents, by the way, for the record, but if we had kids who are trying to put them in the best position to succeed, you would do the same thing. What's wrong with that? Everybody else does it. I'm not going to get into the whole racial aspect of it because it drives me up the damn wall. But if you're just a parent that wants your kids to do well, you're going to have them set up to be successful. You're going to put your children or children in the best position to succeed in life. Isn't that supposed to be the job of a parent, to show the kids the way to go? If that's the case, LeBron is doing a great job at it. And he's not doing anything different than any other parent any other parent would do.
Yeah, Bronny James is making a pretty good amount. I think he's about 7.4 or something like that, which is actually a pretty solid for a second rounder. So
exactly.
So he's not like he's going to be making like about as much as his dad's making. So I think that's kind of silly for people to kind of like get all up in arms about it. But look, he gets to stay at home. He's probably going to still stay with his mom and dad, and get to see his younger brother Bryce, who's been getting people were saying he's actually the better player than Bronny is. So you got to think he's already getting a lot of looks from colleges. I'm talking about Bryce, but. I mean, I think people just need to kind of just leave it alone. I mean, look, if you could do it, you would do it too. So it's just kind of silly for people to say that, oh, I can't believe the real, look, this was probably a plan all along. So I think people just need to chill on that.
Now, Bronny James was very impressive, I thought, in his press conference yesterday. He talked about the pressure, talking about dealing with the pressure because of who his father is. And let's be real, Lakeena, the spotlight's been on both of his children, LeBron's children, ever since they were born. So Bronny talked about that yesterday, and also he talked about how he's going to have to put in more work, and a lot of stuff is going to be done behind the scenes. And I think this is going to be the unfortunate part. If Bronny fails, it's going to be blamed on LeBron. If Bronny succeeds, of course, LeBron James is going to get all the credit. But at some point, Lakeena, we all had to experience this, and I'll speak for myself. Yes, we grew up with our thoughts and ideologies from our parents, okay? But when you start living on your own, becoming your own person, you gotta let the bird out of his nest and have the bird find its own identity, find their own personality. They're gonna have to have their own ways and traits, and they want to establish their own identity. And Bronny James is gonna have to go through that eventually.
Yeah, so again, he seems like very conservative, like his parents raising him. We gotta think he's very, very even keeled, very humble. So we'll see how he does now. Golden State, they hired a couple of new head coaches. Terry Stotts, of course, used to coach Portland. Jerry Stackhouse, who of course used to coach Vanderbilt over in college. They're going to be new coaches that'll complete Steve Kerr's staff as they make some big changes there in their assistant coaching ranks.
Yeah, they're still trying to keep that band together. Of course, we talked about it on our show on Monday that Klay Thompson's no longer with the Warriors. He's going to go to Dallas. He signed a 3-year deal there. Now what's going to be the next move for the new GM, Mike Dunleavy Jr.? I don't know. Steph Curry's going to be there, obviously. Perhaps Draymond Green's going to be there, obviously. I don't know if they're going to try to move him or not. He still has 3 years and over $75 million left of that contract that he signed before the start of last season. So it's still some changes to be. There's still some changes to be made on that Warriors roster. We know Chris Paul's not there anymore. They cut him now. He's with the San Antonio Spurs. I was just wondering what this next move going to be for that Warriors franchise. I'm talking about roster wise.
Yeah, we just see if they can do their
because they need to get younger.
Yeah, that's really gonna be the thing. So we'll see what Mike Dunleavy Jr. does. Same with going back to the Lakers. More coaching changes. Veteran NBA coaches Nate McMillan and Scott Brooks will be a top assistants in JJ Redick's staff. The two of them have a combined 189 victories. So I guess that definitely helps having two guys that are veteran coaches, because I think considering that this is JJ Redick's any kind of coaching, of course, that goes for being an assistant too. So you got these guys who are longtime assistants, who were head coaches for a little bit. They got almost 1,200 wins between them. I think that can only help him, I guess. Now, how will this verify with LeBron and AD? That's a whole different story. But I guess he is getting experience around him. But I guess that can only help him.
And that's a great move for that for the Lakers franchise. It depends on how next year finishes out for JJ Redick. You would think that the speculation probably already started, but if and when the Lakers have a long losing streak next year, will Scotty Brooks' name or Nate McMillan's name be brought up to replace JJ Redick if he's in over his head? But as of right now, those are great coaching moves to help JJ in his transition, being a coach for the first time on any level.
Should be interesting to see what happens there. Now, going back to the Warriors, they do pick up veteran forward Kyle Anderson. New 3-year deal for him. Of course, he spent the last couple of years in Minnesota being kind of the utility guy there. Also, Jonathan Isaacs has agreed to a 5-year, $84 million extension to stay with the Magic. Xavier Tillman staying with the reigning champion Boston Celtics in a new 2-year deal there. Mo Wagner, he's going back to Orlando as well with a 2-year deal, $22 million there. And probably one of the biggest, Gary Harris, he's also staying with the Magic as well. So the Magic's trying, keeping that core together, which can only help if they want to kind of improve from a solid showing in the playoffs this past season.
Yeah, they don't let the Magic team needs a young veteran to stabilize that backcourt. We saw what Paolo Banchero taking another step did last year. We talk about Franz Wagner, who really came out of nowhere last year. It had a successful season for Orlando. So if Orlando can just find that young veteran superstar to lead that group, I think they can be at the next level, because pressure is going to be on them next year. Because it's different being the Hunters now. You're becoming the hunted.
Get to that next step if you're Orlando. So they finally, it took them a decade, but now they're finally broken through. They got a nice little young core.
At least it seemed like it anyway.
Yeah, it felt that way. It felt even longer than that. So we'll see what happens there. Another team that took that step was Cleveland. Donovan Mitchell, he's staying there with $150 million for over 3 years. Not a big surprise though. So some people were saying that maybe he might test the market a little bit, but no, he decided to stay in the land.
Yeah, if you were a Knicks fan or a Lakers fan, you thought you had a shot of getting him, but money talks, so you know what runs the marathon. So the Cleveland, we talked about for the last week, they have a new coach in Kenny Atkinson. Now that Donovan Mitchell believes in him, supposedly now he's going to stay because of the money. And so let's see what Cleveland does. Can they take that next step? They barely survived the playoffs, at least the first round last year against Orlando, before being knocked out by the defending champion Boston Celtics. So let's see if that Kobe Altman, their GM, can give Donovan Mitchell some more help.
That's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Now going into staying out east this time, go back to defending champs. Jason Tatum on Monday's side. Well, let's just say I think lucrative would be an understatement. Even then, a 5-year, $315 million contract extension, which is the largest contract in NBA history. Now, the highest paid players after Tatum's record contract is teammate Jaylen Brown. We got $57 million, of course, last offseason. Nikola Jokic, Devin Booker and Cat are tied. We'll see where if Cat's even gonna still be with the T-Wolves. After that, that's gonna be something to look at. Steph Curry, which is under 54 million. Joel Embiid, PG, of course, now got that new contract with the Sixers. Bradley Beal and Kawhi. So yeah, big money for the new NBA champ.
And congrats to Jason Tatum on being the businessman and getting that deal, which no one thought that was going to come. It came, as you mentioned, it was expected to come this off season. But I find it interesting to see one of the owners of Boston is selling their majority stake of the franchise after handing out that big contract, even though everybody knew that was coming. I just find it the timing of all this. I just wondered what came about that. It's about talking about selling his part of the franchise.
Well, as the saying goes, you buy low and sell high. I think it was about 600 million. I think that team was worth the Celtics for when they bought it, and now they're worth about 5 or 6 billion. I think that was the latest Forbes numbers. So yeah, I think you want to get out now to sell the bulk of that. So not a big. I guess it could kind of be like when Mark Cuban sold the majority of his share of the Mavs. Maybe, some of the basketball stuff, is still status quo, but I guess the business side of it is going to be a new face. Maybe that's going to be the sort of same thing here in Boston. We'll see.
You're listening to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Lakeena here with you, talking NBA free agency. And let's get into the Chicago Bulls side of things again. As we talked about on our last show on Monday, the Bulls re-signed Patrick Williams to that, I think, 5-year, $95 million contract. So, the ball looks like the ball is going to be in his hands a little bit more this year, which brings us up to, we talked about this on Monday as well, and we'll do it here. DeMar DeRozan, of course, he's a free agent. The Clippers, after his services, I heard someone say Detroit. Why would he go to Detroit?
Oh no!
Why?
Well, you want to lose his mind in Detroit? Okay.
Exactly. But I think the Clippers are at the top of his list. The Lakers may have an outside shot, but I don't see that happening. I would say Dallas, but they picked up Klay Thompson. So DeMar still has some options, but I think the Clippers will be on the top of that list. I know, Lakeena, you said that the Bulls should do a signing trade. Good luck with that. I know you want to get something for him, but I don't know if that's what's going to happen.
Well, our buddy Ricky O'Donnell from SB Nation was on GN Sports with our buddies Jared Payton and Chris Bowden, and I remember
friend of the show, by the way.
Yeah, great show. Yeah, you guys check that out every night at 10:30 on WGN Channel 9. I remember he told them that maybe they may have to. I think I remember Ricky said that they may have to add another team to count if they are going to do a sign and trade. That they're not going to be able to do that because they don't have the money for it. So that sign and trade thing that I just forget about that. So that's not going to happen. So like you said, either the LA teams. Maybe Golden State if they got something, but I think if you're the Bulls, you want to try to at least get something for them, but you may not be able to. And if this is what you're gonna go younger, again, if you trade DeMar or Vooch, I mean, you gotta have to try to get something for him. And it's totally kind of backwards way of thinking. AK and Eversley. I mean, it's kind of like what? Like you get Giddey. You got rid of Caruso and got Giddey basically for nothing, a straight up trade, which you could have gotten something. That still baffles me because we know Sam Presti and the Thunder, they have like about 100 draft picks. So I don't know why they didn't try to get at least a couple of those, but I digress. So I don't know what can you do if you're the Bulls to try to at least get something for DeMar.
Yeah, I know they're trying, but I don't know if they're going to be successful at that. We'll see what happens as the hourglass turns on the DeRozan situation. As I turn my water bottle down, it's closer, by the way. But I want to hit on the Zach LaVine front, Lakeena. I'm sure you heard by now about the rumor of the Warriors deal.
Yes.
Before Chris Paul got cut, the Bulls tried to offer Bulls tried to offer the Warriors Zach LaVine in their first round pick in exchange for Chris Paul, and I forgot what was the other part of the deal. And the Warriors said no, and they cut Chris Paul. But right now, from what I've been reading and hearing, there's no real serious market for a trade market for Zach LaVine. If you really follow this, you shouldn't be surprised because I believe he has 3 years of that contract left, Lakeena, including next year. including next year. And I know he just had foot surgery. If everything goes well, he cannot start basketball activities until mid-August at the earliest. And so he's starting to have that. I'm talking about Zach LaVine. He's starting to have that injury tag syndrome. But Lakeena, is Zach LaVine a top 10 scorer in the NBA? Yes. Is he a superstar? No. Is he an all-star? Yes. But on a championship team, he's your second up. Really, if you want to be real about it, he's your 2B, 3A player. He's your third best player on the championship team with stronger players around him. It just didn't work here in Chicago with him and DeMar. That's what happened.
Yeah, the chemistry just didn't mesh, and there was a lot of like other stuff that that came out. We won't rehash it, but it's one of those things where you're just like, okay, you're basically stuck. Same thing with Lonzo Ball, you're stuck with that contract too. So you wonder like what can Eversley and AK do to try to kind of like get out of that salary cap. Because if you remember, of course, with that new network starting for the Bulls, the Blackhawks, and the White Sox. I mean, I don't know what you're not going to be able to sell any. Especially if you're going to try to do a add-on sports package tier, which you're not going to be able to do it in the main channel lineup. You're not going to be able to get people to buy in, especially if you're outside of Kobe White and Io and P Will if he stays healthy. Josh Giddey and Matisse. He may not even be able to play for the next 2 years. For the Bulls. So. The Bulls are kind of like stuck in hell, as they say. And we'll see if they can do anything between now and perhaps before training camp starts. They got to do something.
Now, with the Zach LaVine situation, I think the Bulls, if they can, it looks like if they can find any deal at this point just to get rid of Zach LaVine, I think they'll do it because that's where they're at the crossroads at right now. But you may have to wait until February of next season to do that. So you have about 5-6 more months. It looks like that's going to be the case. If that's the case, you have to manage on how Zach LaVine plays, and you have to manage his minutes as well. Because remember, like I mentioned a few moments ago, he's coming off of foot surgery, and if everything goes well, he won't be able to start basketball activities until mid to late August at best. When is training camp? The last week of September. So he's not even going to have a full month. And so you have to monitor that if he's still on this roster by the time training camp starts. Now to that new network you're talking about that's going to launch in the fall. Even if you're a diehard Bulls fan, Lakeena, let's just say some fans don't want the rebuild. Many fans want the rebuild. Let's be real here, Lakeena. If we forget that this team suffered through a 5-14 start last year before everything turned around after that Zach LaVine injury the first time. Let's just say that happens again this year with them being on that new network. Let's be real. On a random Tuesday night in January, the Bulls will play the Charlotte Hornets. Are you watching that game? Let's be real. No. If the Bulls play the Lakers on a Friday night, will you watch? Yes. Not because of the Bulls. It's because of LeBron James and Anthony Davis, okay? On a random Wednesday night, they play the Detroit Pistons at the UC. Are you watching? No. Yeah, you're not either.
Well, you Kate Cunningham, with his fresh paper. I mean, that might be, I guess. But
also remember, this is not walking through that door. Feel like there's not walking through that door.
But you said, of course, they got that top 10 protected pick from for next year from San Antonio at the DeMar trade. So that's why I guess the incentives were if they were to do the reload, retool, whatever you want to say it. They need to have a bad record in order to perhaps may have a chance at a top 10 pick. If not, that's going to go to San Antonio. But, I remind Bulls fans, the last 2 years, the Pistons had the worst record. They ended up, being like, I think they were 4 last year. And of course, this past draft, they were number 3. So it doesn't really guarantee you much of anything. So just keep that in mind, all you Bulls fans.
Yeah, even though this draft class for 2025 is supposed to be much better than what happened this year. Like you said, nothing is guaranteed. This is not the NFL where you're going to guarantee the number 1 pick. So you have to manage this very carefully. And one piece of breaking news, Lakeena, and we maybe will dive into it on the other side, just crossing the wires right now from the world of hockey. Jessica Campbell has been named the NHL's first woman assistant coach for the Seattle Kraken. So congratulations to Miss Jessica Campbell, for being named the assistant coach on the Seattle Kraken staff, the first female assistant coach in NHL history.
I believe she was an All-American too, if I'm not mistaken, in college. So, yeah, I mean, look, good for her. And look, that's gonna be a fun place for her to coach in Seattle. So that's gonna be, so yeah, good for her. Jessica Campbell, the new first ever female assistant coach for the NHL, long overdue.
Yeah, it's just finishing up the Bulls' point, Lakeena. This is not the NFL, so you're not guaranteeing a number one pick if you have the worst record in the leagues. And so, AK and Eversley, they have a lot of work to do, and it looks like as of right now, you're going to have Zach LaVine through at least February of next season. So, troubling times for the Bulls, but do I feel sorry for them? No. They did this to themselves for overvaluing Zach LaVine with that contract, and now they're stuck for at least a few more months as of right now.
Real quick before we go to break, some WNBA. Asia Reese, of course, now has 12 straight doubles now for the Chicago Sky, and also too for just as they beat Atlanta, the Atlanta Dream by 8 points. Vegas had no trouble with Caitlin Clark and Indiana Fever, although the crowd was huge in Vegas last night. Of course, if you saw the pictures, just a huge crowd for that game. And congrats to both Reese and Clark. They become this is the first time in history that 2 rookies will make the All-Star team for them. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. But no, I think next week exactly right before their Olympic break. So congrats to the ladies and nice crowd for Vegas and the Fever last night.
I heard this stat on FS1 this morning, Lakeena, and this is how far that the WNBA and the women's basketball has come. I forgot who was the top vote getter last year for the WNBA All-Star game, but she received 96,000 votes. Caitlin Clark this year just over 700,000.
Yeah, that's okay. Of course. Well, look, you guys know how I feel about this whole thing with Caitlin Clark and all the attention and whatever, and it's benefited. But yeah, the numbers sort of don't lie, as they say. So for me, I think, look, maybe this will bleed into the rest of the field. But again, I think Caitlin Clark, she is starting to get better, which is good. But yeah, I think you still got Asia Wilson, Kalia Copper, of course, who's over there in Vegas now. So the All-Star game will be July 20th, like I said, right before the Olympics, the Olympic break. So you guys check that out. That's going to be on ESPN. So yeah, I think it's going to be nice raise for that little warm up to the before the Olympic break.
Yep. Break time, Lakeena, 2 and 2. When we return, we got to get into our big NFL topic, plus any other sports media news and nuggets. And we're just counting down like the rest of you guys to enjoy some fireworks and some barbecue as well. Lakeena McGee, Sidney Brown, Second City Sports, the special 4th of July holiday edition rolls on following these messages.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too. These new socks? They can be a real lifesaver.
And I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to Second City Sports. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakeena. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow Lakeena McGee on the IG.
We have 20 minutes left for this extravaganza. We call it Sports Talk Radio Show. This is our last break of the week for today and for this long extended 4th of July holiday weekend. So if you have any last minute questions or comments for us, don't be afraid to go in the chat. You can hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comments section. Lakeena will get them up on the screen for you.
Okay, Stu, let's do that little NFL nugget. Yeah, of course, we're a few weeks away from training camp all over the NFL, of course, you know, especially with the Bears as well. They actually do their training camp right around the time the first of the Olympics. So, you know, but yeah, I mean, I know you've got a nice little list there, Sid. What you got?
All right, this comes to us from our good friends at Sports Illustrated.
Sid's Wi-Fi gets a little bit going here. Yeah, so we got the training camp coming up in a couple of weeks. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see, you know, with the Bears and stuff. We're gonna try to have some guests coming on to preview the Bears season and so much more. Sid, you're back with us?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. So yeah, I got you. Can you hear me now?
Right. Yeah. Live. We're doing this live, folks. Yeah.
Yeah. So I found this article from a couple of weeks ago in Sports Illustrated, and they had their 100 bold predictions for the 2024 upcoming season. We won't go through every single last one of them, so I'll just point out some of the ones that are jaw-dropping, if you will. Derrick Henry will score at least 14 rushing touchdowns for the Baltimore Ravens.
I can see that. Yeah. You want me to take the over on that?
Ooh, I'll say over for now.
But I think it's really all going to depend on like how that offense runs, how he fits in there. He might be getting some touchdown catches as well to kind of lighten the load for Lamar. So we'll see.
Okay, next one. Bo Nix will win the Broncos starting QB job outright.
Ooh, too bad we don't have our good friend Chris Gilman, of course, our who had another nice weekend, by the way, on the links. By the way, if only he was here, we probably had to ask him this. I say yes.
Former Packers running back Aaron
Why
Jones
not?
is
Why
now
not
a member
you?
of the Minnesota Vikings.
What about you?
Do I think?
Uh-huh.
I think he eventually will be. So I'll say yes. I'll say yes.
All right.
Now, former Packers running back Aaron Jones, who's now with the division rival Minnesota Vikings, will catch more than 35 passes out of the backfield. I'll say yes.
Yeah, I say yes as well. He's definitely need to try to kind of like help out JJ McCarthy a little bit. So yeah, I say yes too.
All right. The Kansas City Chiefs wide receivers will not finish among the top 10 in total drops.
Drops. In total drops. Are we talking just one, or are we talking about like multiple?
Ooh, that's a good question. It just says here, Kansas City as a team will not finish among the top 10 in drops.
Oh yeah, I say they're not. Yeah, they're not.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Justin Watson will lead the Chiefs in receiving touchdowns.
Receiving touchdowns. Let's see. I say no.
Same here. I will say no. Let's see. There's a couple other ones I found here. Ezekiel Elliott will log 42 first downs for the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh Lord. 42 first downs. They got a tough schedule.
4-2. The Jackie Robinson number.
Oh Lord.
I say no.
No, I'm gonna say I say no too. Yeah, no. That 42, that's a big number.
All right. Rex Ryan, former NFL head coach and current ESPN NFL analyst, will get back into the coaching conversation. I say no.
Oh no, he's having way too much fun doing television. No, that's not happening.
5 general manager vacancies will come open in 2025.
5. Ooh. 5. I'll take the under. I say maybe 3 or 4, but not like over 5.
Same here. Joshua Cardi will break the NFL's rookie record for most points scored in his season. He is a kicker who was selected by the Rams out of the 6th round out of Stanford. I say no.
No, I don't think that's happening either.
Okay. Ben Johnson, Ben Johnson will win Assistant Coach of the Year, then choose to remain in Detroit again.
Oh, both in that sequence. I say, oh boy, I think one will happen, but not the other. Can I do that? I think he will stay at Detroit.
Yeah.
But I don't think he'll win Assistant Coach of the Year.
That kind of makes sense. I'll hop on that bandwagon there. The Las Vegas Raiders will not finish last in the AFC West.
Las Vegas Raiders. Oh yeah, I don't think they will. I don't think they'll finish. I don't think they'll finish last. I don't think so.
A playoff game will be moved because of bad weather.
No. It's gosh, it's hard to make that kind of prediction because you just don't know. So I'll say no.
Same here. The Week 17 Tennessee Titans at Jacksonville Jaguars matchup will determine last place in the AFC South. I say no.
Oh no, I don't think so either. One of those, I think the Jags will be playing for one of the probably playing for the division.
All right. Speaking of the Tennessee Titans, Will Levis will be incredibly fun in 2024. Remember, the Tennessee Titans will open up on the road September 8th in Chicago against the Chicago Bears. Will Levis will be incredibly fun to watch in 2024.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
All right. And I'd say he'll be interesting to watch, but I don't know how much Tennessee will improve, but we'll see what happens there. Aaron Rodgers will not win Comeback Player of the Year. I think this is an easy one. I'll agree with this statement.
Oh, yeah, I say no on that one too.
Okay, see, we'll find a couple of more. The New York Giants will have 2 vastly improved young offensive linemen.
Ooh, can I push? I think they'll improve.
Go ahead.
I don't think they'll be as bad as last year's, but like vastly improved. What we're talking like in the middle of the pack.
Well, vast improved young offensive linemen. 2 young offensive linemen.
Well, I mean, they can't get any worse, right? I guess.
As of right now, I'll say no. Right. I'll say no. Maybe one, but as far as 2, I don't know. If that's the case, Daniel Jones will have almost like an MVP type season. As of right now, I don't see it. Staying in the NFC East division, Nick Sirianni will survive in Philadelphia beyond 2024.
I say yes.
Okay. As of right now, I'll say no. I got to see how they'll start out the season. Speaking of Philadelphia, Saquon Barkley, who's now a member of the Eagles, Saquon Barkley will rush for receiving yards. That's going to be tough.
More rushing than receiving yards?
Yeah, he'll rush for 1,100 yards and have 700 receiving yards.
Ooh.
I think I'm going to pull your card. I say yes for the rushing yards, probably barely if he stays healthy, but the receiving yards, I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I was actually going to use it again. Yeah, I just don't see him getting 700 receiving yards. I just don't see it.
Okay, a few more here. Trey Lance, who's now the 3rd QB on the depth chart for the Dallas Cowboys. Trey Lance will not be dealt at the deadline, fueling speculation that the Cowboys are going to let Dak Prescott walk at season's end.
That they don't get rid of him. I don't know. I mean, it's really going to depend.
I think that statement will be true because Dak Prescott, heaven forbid, he gets hurt this year. I think they still have Cooper Rush down there, so you need all the healthy quarterbacks you can get. So if Dak stays healthy, maybe it becomes a possibility. But I don't think I think as of right now, I'll agree with the statement that Trey Lance will not be dealt at the deadline.
All right, we'll see. Should be interesting.
All right, couple more here. The new NFL kickoff return rules will be awesome.
No, say it again. You cut out. Say it one more time.
The NFL return rules will be awesome.
What?
Return rules will be awesome.
Oh, oh dear.
Yeah, the new NFL return rules will be awesome.
I
think eventually will be. So I'll go with the same. Say yes.
Yeah, I think eventually it's gonna take some teams a while to kind of get it going. So yeah, I think eventually they'll get that figured out.
Okay, the Minnesota Vikings, the Arizona Cardinals, and the New York Giants all have a win total of 6.5 projected by DraftKings, and all 3 of those teams will easily hit the over on their projected win totals. I say no.
Who do you think doesn't hit that 6.5 plateau?
I'll say the Minnesota Vikings will not hit that over the 6.5 total. I think Arizona may come close and the Giants may come close. I agree with you, Lakeena. I think they'll have some improvement, but I don't know if it'll be enough to keep Brian Daboll's job. But I don't think the Vikings will hit that. I think they'll come close, but I think they'll be the team that'll be out as far as
yeah. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think all. Yeah, I don't think all. Yeah.
I will disagree with that statement.
Yeah, I think Arizona will get 7. I think Minnesota will too. I don't see the Giants getting that 6.5.
Okay. Meanwhile, the Dallas Cowboys 10.5, the 49ers 11.5, and the Dolphins at 9.5 will struggle to and likely miss the over on their projected win totals at DraftKings.
All right.
I think the Cowboys can win 11 games again. The 49ers I'm worried about. I think the Dolphins, if Tua stays healthy, I think they can win 10 games.
Yeah, that last part about Tua, that's going to be a big concern. San Francisco, I think they'll win 10. I don't know if they're going to be like, the number one seed again. I think they will win 10 or 11. Dallas, I think will be there as well, like 10, 11. But again, it's really going to depend on how Dak is. That's really going to be the wild card here.
Okay. Just a couple more here before we close out. Baker Mayfield will top 4,000 passing yards for a second consecutive season. Mike Evans is back.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying yes.
I will jump on the bandwagon and I'll say yes as well. Staying in the NFC South Division, Alpha Kamara, the running back for the New Orleans Saints, will rush for more than 900 yards. If he stays healthy, I'll say yes. So right now, I'll say yes.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the key if he stays healthy. Because if not, you could just I say no. But yeah, I think he'll stay healthy, so I'll say yes.
Here's a silly prediction. Aaron Donald will unretire and join the Rams for a playoff run. Hell no. Remember, Aaron Donald's been thinking about retirement for the last 3 years. I don't see him coming back now. No.
Yeah, I don't know who put that on there. Yeah, I don't know who put that on there, but yeah, that's not going to happen. That's just silly, but okay. He's not coming back. There was rumors about him wanting
the
to retire
Arizona Cardinals
after win the Super Bowl. So yeah, that ain't happening.
The Arizona Cardinals will post an 8-game winning streak.
8? Oh dear.
Until I see it, I say no.
No, they may win 3 or 4 in a row, but they're not going to win 8 in a row. Not.
Kyler Murray has to stay healthy first of all.
That's going to be the key, and we'll see how Marvin Harrison Jr. We'll see how he does, but yeah, I don't see them winning 8 games in a row.
Okay, 3 receivers will top 8.
Say that one more time.
3 wide receivers will top 1,800 receiving yards.
3? Oh dear. 1,800. I think 1 or 2 will, but I can't see 3. Especially depending on how, I guess, some of these teams run the ball and such. I say no.
Okay, I'll say no as well. Jason Kelce, who just retired from the Philadelphia Eagles this year. Of course, he'll be working, I believe, with ESPN. He will join the Eagles coaching staff by the end of the year. I don't see it.
If he has fun doing the television thing, I say no as well. Plus, he's still got that podcast that he does with Travis. I don't see they might gonna have to do away with that, so I don't see it.
Okay, Drake May, not Michael Penix Jr., will make the fewest starts among all rookie.
It's hard to make those type of predictions because you don't know how these teams are gonna. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'll say no.
I will say no as well. Let's go through a couple more here. The Houston Texans will not increase their win total from 10 from last season.
They don't increase.
That's going to be tough. CJ Stroud going to his second year. And Stephon Diggs, they acquired the wide receiver from Buffalo in the offseason. They're saying here that Houston Texans will not increase their win total of 10 from last year. I think they do, but I think it's going to be about 1 to 2 games.
Yeah, I think they'll win 11, but I guess I don't think they're not going to win 13 or 14. But I think they win I don't think they'll win 11. I don't think they'll go up by 1.
Yeah, so right now I agree with you. Justin Fields will score at least 5 touchdowns as a non-quarterback as Mike Tomlin deploys a true 2-quarterback system. I say yes to this one.
That'll be funny if that were the case. That would happen. So yeah, I'll say yes, just because I want that to happen so bad.
Okay, I saw a Bears one right here. Here we go. Caleb Williams will throw the same number that's Peyton Manning. For those of you scoring at home,
The same. Wait,
Peyton Manning threw
those
26 touchdowns
26 touchdowns. Okay.
during his rookie season in 19. I'll say yes.
26. I'll push. I think he'll go exactly 26. I don't know if he'll go over that though.
Okay. One or two more. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce will not get engaged.
I'll say no.
I'll say yes, just to be different. Jaden Daniels will win Offensive Rookie of the Year for the Washington Commanders.
Oh dear. If he stays healthy, if he can stay healthy, if the Commanders actually make things interesting, I'll say yes. Okay. What'd you say?
Right.
What'd you say, Sid?
No, yeah, my audio was going in. Yeah, my audio was going in and out, so I didn't catch your last statement.
I'll say yes. I think Jay Dez will win Offensive Rookie of the Year if he stays healthy.
And I'll go with you with that as well. So those are some of your 100 predictions. We just read out some of them that they're sure to go right. That's an article that I found in Sports Illustrated from a couple of weeks ago. You're listening to Second City Sports or Sports Zone Chicago. Sid Lakeena hanging out here with you. We still have a few minutes left before we close up shop for this long extended holiday weekend. Lakeena, did you watch the NBA free agency special last Sunday afternoon?
I watched a little bit of it.
It drew the highest ratings in ESPN history. It drew 1.24 million viewers.
Well, I mean, that's pretty interesting considering that there was really, LeBron really wasn't a big name there. And yeah, I guess, look, maybe not saying that it's a wrap there with the NFL, but yeah, I think that's pretty solid if you're ESPN, you'll take it, especially you going into that new TV deal coming up, not this coming season, but next season. So yeah, you're gonna need all the buzz you can get.
Yep, and like you said, LeBron James wasn't as involved this time like he has been with the decision Miami back in the summer of 2010, of course, when he decided to come back home in 2014. So you still had big names there were on the move, like Paul George, and of course we talked about Jason Tatum getting his contract, and so DeMar DeRozan could be on the move as well. We'll see about that. Obviously, nothing happened with him last week at the start of free agency, but when big names are involved in basketball, people pay attention. So and the numbers reflect it.
Plus, it's on a Monday during the big vacation, the break. So yeah, I think this will be interesting to see what happens there.
All right, and of course, anything else that Oh, here we go. I'll just read the headline here. I didn't get a chance to read the whole thing, but I'll see if you did. ESPN opted to sub-license college football playoff games after quote-unquote very attractive TNT Sports offer.
Yeah, I think that means they're going to be using some of their producers. They may even use some of their announcers. So yeah, it's probably, and plus they're paying, TNT's paying a nice, little, not too big, but a nice little chunk of change for it. So yeah, that is it'll mean working out for both, and actually it also helps TNT soften the blow with the potential loss in the NBA. So yeah, I think this helps a lot.
And let's not forget, Turner Sports also picked up some college basketball coverage outside of March Madness with the Big East, and so we'll see what happens, what they do there during the late fall and early winter months. I want to give a shout out to, hopefully you get him on this program soon, our guy Kenneth Davis from the OD and Davis Show and War Media. Of course, he's the host of the Under Center podcast. You can watch it, I believe, every Wednesday night on NBC Sports Chicago in the Chicagoland area at 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. Or you can catch the entire interview right here on YouTube. Just subscribe to the NBC Sports Chicago YouTube page. This interview was released earlier today. It's him and Alex Shapiro. They interview from NFL Films director Miss Shannon Furman, and she's going to work on Hard Knocks this year as part of the production crew. Of course, remember the Chicago Bears will be featured on Hard Knocks this year during training camp. I know the off-season episodes are running, I believe, right now for the New York Giants, but they get into, I don't know if you caught it, Lakeena, it was released earlier today. I was watching it before we broadcasted live, but she has some interesting nuggets about how the crew goes about players trusting the crew and trusting that their stories will come out as authentic as they need to be on camera, and how they choose who's going to be the breakout stars of the program, and what other storylines that they can follow during the 6-3 stretch through the preseason of training camp. I'm really looking forward to how their Bears, how they're going to showcase the Bears to quote unquote charter franchise of the NFL.
Yeah, we're just see who's going to be the breakout star for the Bears. I know the Giants. They just released their first episode yesterday. You can catch that on on HBO, and of course streaming on Max. So we just see what happens with the Bears in a few weeks. So I mean, I'll have to check that out. I didn't get a chance to check it out today, but yeah, I'll definitely check that out. So should be fascinating to see what happens here.
Yeah, go to NBC Sports Chicago on YouTube and type in the Under Center podcast with Kenneth Davis and Alex Shapiro. They interviewed Miss Shannon from it. It was a great interview. It's about a half hour. It's really worth your time, especially over this extended holiday weekend. Please check it out.
All right. Wimbledon's happening right now as we speak. Of course, Carlos Alcaraz, of course, had no trouble with his second round match, I should say. Novak Djokovic finish up with his match as well. Our buddy Mark Karma, he for CHGO Bears, he told us that he was going to go out there at Wimbledon. If you go through his social media at the Carm, he's right there at Wimbledon. He saw Tiafoe finish up his first round match. Of course, Coco Gauff. Your girl Madison Keys plays her second round match tomorrow, unless you want to get there at 5 a.m. Well, the only problem is that it's like at 6 o'clock our time. So I don't know if you want to get up that early, Sid, but your girl's playing tomorrow. You can catch.
Real quick, Lakeena, not to interrupt, but hopefully you can get him on the show down the road, and I'll follow him on social media. He's the president of the National Association of Black Journalists, the Chicago chapter. You can also see him on WCIO TV locally here in Chicago. Brandon Pope is also over there as well in London. Shout out to Brandon Pope.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw it on his social media. Yeah, he's having a little too much fun over there at Wimbledon right now, Mr. Pope. A little too much fun, but you can catch all the Wimbledon action on ESPN and ESPN2 and ESPN Plus throughout the next couple of weeks. So you want to watch some tennis, do this long 4th of July weekend, it's all right there. Also, too, want to give another one to soccer. Of course, the quarterfinal is set at the Euros. A great matchup on Friday after you fill up on the barbecue tomorrow. 11 a.m. on Friday, you got Spain and Germany. That should be a fun match. And in the second matchup, we got Portugal and France. Another good one here. England, Switzerland will be on Saturday, and the Netherlands and Turkey also on Saturday at 2 o'clock. So some great matchups there. And if you're still into the Copa America Cup with the U.S. being gone, you can catch that on FS1 as well, on Fox and the FS1 throughout the weekend. Check your local listings.
All right, one last thing before we jump up out here, Lakeena, I'm actually looking forward to this weekend. It looks like, at least in the Chicagoland area, the weather is going to be cooperating in terms of rain. It's going to be a little bit, I think it's going to be more humid on Sunday, but the rain should not be a factor. And I'm talking about the NASCAR event going through downtown Chicago. It's going to happen for the second straight year. Of course, the Loop 110 will take place Saturday. That's at 2:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on NBC, followed by the Grand Park 165. That's going to be on Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on NBC. I'm really looking forward to these events. Lakeena, I rarely keep up with the NASCAR, but when our city is in the spotlight on a positive tip, I really support it. Of course, we talked about it last year. Of course, one of our good colleagues is covering it. Of course, Layla Rahimi for NBC5 here in Chicago. I think she's going to do some national stuff for them as well. But I think the bigs are going to be out there too. But when our city's in the spotlight like this, especially summertime shy during this time of year, I really support. I'm really looking forward to watching these events this year. Weather in terms of rain should not be a factor this year, unlike a year ago. Even though it did come off well last year with the rain, but it should be better conditions for this weekend for both the NASCAR races. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it looks like the rain is going to hold off. It is supposed to rain like later in the day, and the race should be over by then. But it is going to be but it is going to be very humid. So, but it looks like they will be able to get the Alley 400 and the Save Mart race there as well, because they couldn't, the Xfinity Series, I should say, because they couldn't do it last year because of the weather. They should be able to get all those races in the Truck Series as well. So yeah, this is going to be interesting for that. Of course, Shane Von Yeerden, of course, is the defending champ of that race. After they only did like about a half the race, of course, because of the rain. But yeah, they should be able to get it all in. Should be a great time by y'all. It's going to be nice and hot. They already did the street closures. Everything went without the hitch last year. Let's hopefully that's the case this year. So it should be a fun way. Like Sid said, you can catch all the racing coverage on NBC Channel 5.
And a note to those of you that are going to the Cubs game this weekend. I know they're in the LA Angels are in town to take on the Cubs on the north side. I urge you, take public transportation because as we mentioned, the NASCAR series is running downtown. And we know how you can't really park on the north side. So take public transportation, give yourselves extra time because a lot of people are coming into town to take part in that NASCAR race. And of course, Cubs baseball is going on in Wrigley Field on the north side. So please, folks, for those of you who travel to either one of those events this weekend or perhaps both, give yourself extra time and please take public transportation. A PSA from your folks here at Second City Sports.
You can get to Grand Park very easily through public transportation, folks. So
yes.
It's all right there for you. Yeah, it's easier to get there on public transit because, it's going to be packed and with all the street closures in and around Grand Park. And especially you can't park, like I said, you can't park up north because it's very expensive, 2 for 1. So, please, like I said, take public transportation. It's easy to get there, get to both Wrigley and to Grant Park through public transportation. Super easy, super quick. It's going to be a nice day. So, please take public transportation.
Yeah, CTA Metro Pace, they'll help you out. For those of you out-of-towners.
Yeah, so, make sure you go bus tracker, train tracker, all that's right there for you.
Yes.
Look at us. We're being hospitable, helping out any tourists in Chicago. Wherever helps the city. With that said, you follow my kid McGee on the Twitter, X and Kids on the IG.
You can follow your Shirley Sidney Brown on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. SIDKID80. Be sure to download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Excuse me. Follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Please subscribe to our podcast. We are located at War Media Podcast. That's WARR Media, PODCASTS. We are on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And give War Media a follow at WARR Media on all social media platforms. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Be sure to catch Second City Sports live in living color every Monday, every Friday, except for this Friday, from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Sports Zone Chicago. One more again, as the kids would say. Be sure to catch Second City Sports live in living color every Monday, every Friday, except for this Friday, from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, exclusively on Sports Zone Chicago.
And during that long holiday break, you can get Sports Zone Chicago and all our other shows anytime, anywhere on Roku TV, whatever get your apps, whatever app store you got, whatever device you have. On Roku, just type in Sports Zone Chicago. You can catch repeats of our show, Sean and Maya, the Smoke Fellas. Hopefully we'll have some more content coming up as well. You can get Sports Zone Chicago anytime, anywhere on Roku TV.
And we will provide.
All right, so with the weather going on, I know there's some crazy weather down there in the Gulf. So if you live in that area or if you're vacationing in that area, please be safe. Of course, in Jamaica with Hurricane Burrow and that. And also to the hot weather here all over the country. So make sure you guys stay cool. Celebrate safe. Be careful with the
check on the elderly too.
Yeah, and also if you got young kids, make sure they stay safe, especially with the firecrackers, folks.
Leave them alone.
Be careful with those. So enjoy your 4th of July weekend. Enjoy all the sports. Like, we got football. I mean, we wish we had football, but we got baseball, of course. As we get to the All-Star break, we got soccer. Well, if you want to do the football thing, WNBA, and a whole lot more. So enjoy all the sports. For Sid, I'm Lakeena, the Second City Sports on Sports Chicago. Happy 4th of July, and we'll see you Monday.
Happy birthday, America. Holla!